Hey guys, and welcome to Shambali. This is a brand new Escort map in Overwatch, and I'm gonna be your tour guide showing you throughout this whole entire mountain town. So hopefully you got some popcorn, and if you don't, well, don't worry, because I got some for you right here. That's right, we got corn on the cob with popcorn equipped with it if you shoot it. So this is gonna be taking place in a mountain town in the mountains of Nepal, which is already an established map in Overwatch, but now it's actually showing off a portion that is right underneath the actual Nepal map that we played beforehand, and this is going to be known as the city part. As you guys know, Omnics is a finite race, and they have needs, wants, and desires just like us humans, and one of that is just wanting a town where they can just live. We have so many places in Overwatch right now that absolutely hate Omnics, Kings Row, Junkertown, so it's kind of nice to see a town that has Omnics in mind. We see a pottery store, we see a tea store, and don't worry, we will go into more details showing off like the buildings and everything later on in the video. I just wanted to show off like the actual like where the payload goes throughout the whole entire map, because it's a very confusing map. Like this first point by itself has like so many alleyways and has so many ways that you can get around, like through the pottery, through the tea, even in the back alley of the tea, or even through the repair shop, which is probably going to be the hardest but most important part of this map to take over, because there is a mega health pack in it, which is very fitting because it's an Omnic repair shop. But we're getting up a semi-steep mountain, which again overlooks the mountain ranges in Nepal, which is absolutely breathtaking. And now we're at the back of the repair shop, which is right underneath one of the ledges that Junkrats and Soldier 76s and anyone that loves to just overlook on somebody is gonna just have a field day with. So this is definitely gonna be a Junkrat favorable map, surprisingly, because I don't know if Junkrat even likes Omnics. But there you saw that was one of the mountain range, or one of the overlooks in the mountain ranges, which is another flank spot for like tracers and red Lucios. But now we're getting into what is possibly the hardest part for attackers to overtake on the map, because once again there's the ledge that overlooks the first point, but there's a second ledge right there, like to the left of me, is another place for someone like Junkrat or Soldier, or really again anyone that just loves ledges, to just demolish you in game. And I know I'm just using those here as an example, but I'm trying to be a good tour guide and just show off the map and show you guys around. So once again, here's another flank spot that goes from the bottom near the repair shop at the end of the first point to the middle of the mountain. Again, you're gonna see tons of flank spots, and I'll try to go over them the best that I can, but the best way to learn a map is to obviously watch a video like this, get familiar with it, and then just play it a couple of times, because you start to figure out, okay, there's the main way, and then there's tons of flanks just like any other map. But here we're getting into, I would consider this like the pre-courtyard of the temple, because there's technically like two courtyards, and it's a little bit boring here. There's not much to it. We are greeted with a giant Omnic statue right above. However, once again, there's going to be another flank spot that's going to be really cool for Genjis to utilize, because it's not only going to open up to this little shrine area, but there's also a ledge that really only you and Farahs and people that get over that wall can access. But now we're getting into the hallway right before the temple. That's where one of the defenders spawn is, and I'll show all the defenders spawns, but it's going to be right before we enter in the actual courtyard of the temple, which I just gotta say, this final point is one of the best final points in all of Overwatch maps. Like, it's just so beautiful with the Zenyatta or the Omnic statue monks, with the lights and the bells, the banners, the snow just piling on top of us, all underneath the moon that is just looming over us, and it's very big. This is one of the biggest final points that I've ever seen, with tons of buildings, tons of staircases, tons of ledges, tons of flanks. It's just one of the most open places ever, and this of course is the final point of the Shambali map. However, I did want to go over the other parts of the map, because there's tons of details within it that I didn't get to show you in the initial walkthrough. So going back to the beginning of the city, there's going to be three main buildings that we're going to be calling the pottery building, the tea building, and also the repair shop. And again, the repair shop is going to be the biggest focus in a lot of team fights. But these buildings, there's not much to it. Like, it definitely looks like it's a lived-in city with all the pots that were just made, the tea that is actually Nepal branded. It's kind of funny how this town already has its own tea, but it looks like it's abandoned, and we see that in the repair shop that apparently is open 24/7, but nobody's on the clock, nobody's working, and I don't understand, or I kind of understand why, because we're literally fighting in a war here. However, it still is a repair shop, so it does offer some repairs in the form form of a mega health pack, which I absolutely love. Once again, we're going up the little slope right before we get to the end of the first point, and towards the right, like, I don't know what this area is, but again, it's just one of those scenery spots where you can just overlook the mountains, but also just use that giant block as protection, as cover from the people that are trying to spawn camp you, which I've noticed that happens a lot, especially when someone is overtaking that ledge that is easily able just to fire down bullets towards you because, well, like, you're gonna run into them anyway, and that's one of the best spots. Like, that ledge is just so powerful and so good. And this is definitely one of the more confusing parts of the map because there's 3 flanks that you can truly utilize. There's the mountain view flank that is on the far right. There's the underneath mountain flank that you can use to get on top of like this little excavation ledge. But then there's a 3rd flank right next to that flank that you can use on the far left. And this is why I say that this is probably going to be a Junkrat's safe haven, because you're just going to be able to fire so many bullets on top of the end of the first point. But in the middle of this mountain, like, it's so tight and it's so small. This is definitely going to be a defender's map. But when it comes to competitive rule sets, well, everyone gets to play the defense side, so it doesn't really matter too much. However, now we're getting into another part of the map that is going to be utilized for a lot of flankers to battle each other. This is going to be a little sanction area that I would say is kind of like a side park, little place. I'm not entirely sure what to call it, but now we're getting into the flattest part of the map here, which is the pre-courtyard that I called before. Now, this is kind of straightforward with the exception of the far right. Remember how I said Genjis and Pharaohs are going to utilize that wall because they're the only ones that can hop over that? Do not forget that wall. Like, again, this is why it's going to be a flanker's paradise. You can easily confuse the enemy because you have so many options at your disposal. So if I have to suggest anybody to play, first and foremost, it would be Junkrat and then Sojourner because they're absolutely broken. But some Tracers, some Genjis, maybe not even so much, well, maybe even Pharah, but Pharah, like, I don't know if it would be that good of a hero to play on this map because it's kind of open, but it's also kind of not when you get to the second mountain part. But now we're getting into the actual, like, courtyard of the temple, which once again, absolutely stunning. But this is where a lot of snipers are gonna just rain havoc. Sojourn! I just died by Sojourn so many times on this part. But even someone like Bastion or Soldier, Zenyatta even, long-range heroes are gonna thrive on this part because there's so many places to cover, and it's kind of flat with some ledges that they can use to their advantage. And again, once again, lots of flank spots, lots of areas for you to just go around and cause chaos, and all while fighting underneath the beautiful snowy sky of Shambali. And hopefully this video kind of put into perspective how beautiful this map is, but also how confusing it is. And hopefully I helped you learn how this map works, because the truth be told, maybe this video didn't do a justice of how, like, truly confusing it can be. But after a while, you start to learn about the houses and the buildings and the flank spots and the flank spots and the flank spots. Lots of flank spots. There are a ton of them. But hopefully you enjoyed this tour guide type video, and hopefully I can make more in the future, especially when Season 3 comes out with a brand new map. But until then, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.